Eastern time. We're going to talk Isomers, we're going to talk skin, we're going to talk hydration. We want to say hi to everybody. We're here to really help answer your questions, to give you information about skincare. You know, I keep thinking about our evolution in skincare and how we got to be where we are, and all the different marketing and stories and what's true and what's not true in the skincare world. There's so much that's not true in the skincare world. And yesterday we had a meeting with a team that is going to help us with, I guess it's advertising, right? So there's this thing called SEO, and now there's like AEO and GEO, and all of this is to help people get answers to their questions when they're doing a search. They used to call it a Google search, so it's just keywords, but now there's much more. And what is really interesting, and this is so relevant to what we're talking about, okay? New SEO or new searches, AEO and GEO, these things rely on three things. This new way of finding products. So in the web, in the social media, now with TikTok and all this stuff going on, before people used to advertise, right? And they used to make you want their product because they were giving you an image, maybe a beautiful woman or a fancy car or somebody who has something that you want. And you're like, okay, I want to use what they're using. I want to have what they're having, right? That was the whole thing about marketing. So you really didn't understand really truly what was inside, but they were selling you a story. They're selling you an emotion. I always had a problem with that. I had a problem with that because I had really bad skin. I didn't feel very good. My emotions were very bad. I felt very insecure, and I needed information, not emotion, because I knew what my emotions were. And I wanted the emotion of finally satisfaction, confidence, right? And that, it wasn't giving me that. It was giving me a false sense of those things. So anything that I would see on TV or in the department store shelves, those things would give me hope, but it wouldn't work. So I didn't really like it, right? Didn't really work for me. And so when we started Isomers Skincare, I wanted to teach. I wanted to give the truth, the emotion. Not the emotion. I wanted to give the science. I didn't care about the packaging. I cared about what was inside. I didn't care about the marketing story. I cared about the science. I didn't care about being too polished in the marketing and the presentation and all of that of the brand, because we didn't come up with a tagline and this and that. We were just our brand. Our brand was based on the education and our true story. So yesterday, when we were approached by the company that we just started working with, it's just a few months we've been working with them, they were saying we want to shift from SEO, Google search, to AEO and GEO, because the new way AI, because you have to implement AI to help with these searches and to look on different platforms, AI does not get sold a marketing story. AI is not emotional. AI is pretty black and white. So they have to rewrite everything. Not our blogs, not the Isomers ones, but the world, right? They have to rewrite your blogs and your information and your stuff based on, because you know what AI searches for? It's like music to my ear. Proof and the authenticity of the brand. So now with the advent of AI, they want truth, proof, and they want to know who you are, the brand. So the truth is, what do you actually do? No, don't tell me your story that you were walking in the woods and you tripped over this thing and you found this ingredient. Because we know, there's ingredients out there, people use with, they said I was disfigured. I had, I was in a blast of some sort, and I found this thing. I'm like, we know this isn't the truth, and we know you have no proof, right? And I think all of this is to lead me into telling you that Isomers Laboratories and our product will rise, will get stronger, will get much more in the mainstream, much more in the light, if you will, because we weren't the best at branding or marketing or paying for advertising. What we were and always has been is truth. We're always ahead of our time. When we introduce you to a lot of these ingredients, we're ahead of our time. People are just catching up with Matrixyl and Ectoin and exosomes, and signaling peptides and glutathione, as a master antioxidant. People are just catching up to that. We've been doing it 15, 20 years. We've always told the truth. We've always spoken about the science. And what did we do better than anybody else? If you remember, what we did better than anybody else, and it pissed everybody off, was we were showing you proof, under the skin proof, using cystoscopy proof. And people used to say to us, nobody understands those before and afters. Those before and afters are scary. Those before and afters aren't pretty. The women look too brutal or real or whatever it is. They don't look aspirational. And I'm like, but it's the proof. We go and look underneath the cover. It's the proof of how the product works. And that's who we've been all along. So I was really happy with yesterday's meeting, where knowing that the new way the world is going to work because of AI doesn't care about your marketing story and all of this. It cares about the truth because it needs to know a fact. It is or it isn't this. It does or doesn't do this. You are not. You're either a manufacturer or you're not. You're either a cosmetic chemist or you're not. And makeup artist is not a cosmetic chemist. Somebody who says that, I was in a bomb blast or something like that, but has no proof, AI is going to throw it away. It's going to say, this is weak. There's no proof. There's no evidence. But when Isomers Laboratories comes around, you can see they're going to talk about 2 cosmetic chemists from Toronto who have their own lab, who've actually launched all of these ingredients and delivered the science and are direct to the consumer. And yes, introduce most of the peptides and most of the active ingredients in the last quarter century through right here where you're watching right now, Shop HQ. So never forget how lucky you have been in this community. This has been where all of the innovation and the communication and the truth and the proof came out, and you were here with this brand. So I salute you. That was my long introduction. It's actually, they're saying that it's going to be more like a fingerprint. They're going to know exactly your identity and who you are and what you're up to. And in a way, I so love that for our brand. I so love that for you. I wish I had that, because when you have that, then you know when you're buying something, what you're getting. You know that you can count on it. You know that if this is what's happening to you and you need this, you're going to be able to get that. As opposed to, well, she looks very good, I'm going to have what she's having. But she's not you. You don't even know what her issues are. You don't even know if she uses that. Here's the thing about a lot of the marketing and the branding. You have beautiful, beautiful people out there. We love beauty. We're all attracted to beauty. And they hold up a product and they talk about it, but they've never used it. They just happen to have a following or a celebrity. So our expertise, our luxury is our expertise, not the packaging. Our packaging is beautiful now. We have, the quiet elegance, whatever. We have cleaned up a lot of this, but it wasn't our priority. Our priority has always been the truth and the proof. And I celebrate that. So what are we getting today? Friday, June 26th, 2 p.m. start time. We're going to be here for about another 20 minutes, and we're going to talk about hydration. Hydration. What is hydration? Hydration has to do with water. Bringing water. This is how you hydrate. This is how we hydrate our body. When I'm thirsty, I drink water. Would you ever be thirsty and say, ooh, I need to have a cup of oil? Or, you know what, I'm so thirsty, I need some butter. You would never say that. You would say, I'm so thirsty, I need some water. Even you would have a cool drink. Maybe you want iced tea. Maybe you want a beer. Maybe you want those things. But those things are all known to quench your thirst. Nobody would say, I'm so thirsty, I could have a steak. Or I'm so thirsty, I could have ice cream. Because all of those things would not quench the thirst, will not do the role of hydration. Your skin is the same. Your skin is thirsty and you're giving it butter. Your skin is thirsty and you're giving it oil. Your skin is thirsty and you're giving it something that is impeding. Maybe you put it on after you have your drink. After you have your drink, you know, you could swallow things down. They can dilute. After you do that, then you can put it. So anyways, we're going to talk about hydration. Hydration is super important because your cells are like little sponges. When your skin cells dry out, dry, flaky, scratchy, they dry out, they shrink, they get smaller, they get wrinkly and bubbly. And then you look at your skin and you see this wrinkly, fine lines, deep lines, change in texture. You also see more oil because when the water goes away, what's left? The oil, right? When the water goes away, the fat remains. And so you will see a buildup more of dullness, oxidization, blackheads, just impure looking skin. So the power of hydration is important. That's the truth. And you have the proof because you can look at your skin when you're dehydrated, and you can even have oily skin and still have this little veil on top of your skin, flakiness or dryness called superficial dehydration. Superficial because it's on the top, not because it doesn't matter, but because it sits on the surface of the skin. And then with a little bit of exfoliation, so get rid of before you wash your floor, you sweep, right? You don't just go ahead and do it. Before you wash your skin, a little bit of exfoliation, then you're gonna feed it what it needs. The first thing is we have the Redensify Contouring Cream. This is hydration plus contouring. Hydration plus filler. Hydration, bringing the moisture into the skin, part of the delivery system. The hydration is super important too, especially in something like this cream. This hydration allows for better penetration. And the deeper you can go into the skin, the more at the root of the problem you get, the better the result of the building. Redensify helps to redensify. It's going to firm. It's going to work on the true nature of a Redensify is to increase the fat, the good fat, because we have good fat. We have fat underneath our cheeks. Just think of it. We're just basically a skeleton. If we were just a skeleton with skin on, draped on us, right? We would look really thin, bony, we wouldn't have like this contouring and this kind of softness to us, right? So there's fat in between our skin and the bones, right? That helps do so many things. Keeps us warm, creates shape, creates flexibility, creates protection. In our skin, as we get older, we lose a lot of the fat. The fat gets absorbed, it's used, it's moved down, it changes, right? You have, things in your garden, you've had a tree for 10 or 15 years, it changes, it ages, and happens to your fat as well. So this is a natural thing that's happening, but what you want to do, of course, is you want to bring that fat in and hold it in those places. So when you're looking at your face, you notice flattening out, loss of, you're sinking, and then when you sink here, you sag here. When you lose the volume here, this hangs down, right? This comes down, all of it. Redensify Contouring Cream gives you the neodermal technology, and this is going to help redensify your skin and work on the contours with hydration. The Diamond Peptide Overnight Hydrating Mask. Diamonds. Diamonds are important for brightening and as a delivery system from Infinitec. You can do the research because, again, we're going to talk about truth and proof. That is our brand pillar, education, truth, and proof. So AI non-discriminating searches that you can't put flowery stuff around. I am welcoming this day and age. Well, I've always been like that. I've always been pretty much black and white and literal. And people used to say, you're like just very literal, just very direct. And to me, it was like, because I have nothing to hide. I don't have to tell a story that isn't true. And all I want to do is help you. All I want to do is, I saw my road and what I went through and it hurt so much. I want to pick people out of that, put them on someplace else where it's a little safer, it's a little kinder, it's a little gentler. They'll be a little bit better. I think people can handle it. Maybe it's because, I don't know. I know that I handle it. It's okay if it happens to me, but I don't like to see it happening to others. Diamonds. Diamonds are important. Brightening. Peptides. These are peptides that go in and signal to the skin to hold the hydration, to reestablish and fix the water system of your skin, right? So you got a leak in your garden, or you got irrigation system, and there's leaks, right? Because you didn't winterize properly, and then there's a problem there. You've got to go in and repair that, because you can turn the water on and the water but it goes everywhere. It's not going in the right spot. So some spots are going to get hydration and some spots are not. And you don't want that for your skin. And that happens over time, because what happens is as your skin cells multiply and divide and replace themselves, some of them replace themselves off. They're not like 100% perfect. So when they do that, what happens is you start to have this repetition of an error away from the ideal structure. The peptide and the growth factor go in and fix that and realign that. So imagine going in and straightening out the Tower of Pisa. It's not going to be something anymore, right? Because that was a repetition. That's a perfect repetition of something that went off, like it's sinking on that side. So how would you straighten it out? There was something that went off on the foundational element, and therefore it created this lean, right? And it keeps leading a little bit all the time because it doesn't have the right foundation. There's something that happened underneath that we can't see that misaligned it. So a peptide's job, in this formula, this peptide, this is not a collagen peptide per se in the sense of just stimulating collagen. It goes in at a deeper level and helps to recruit or make sure this type of collagen comes forward with this type of structure to help align things. And then when you have irrigation, it's evenly distributed. So you get that hydration the right way. There's nothing is missing. I have in my garden right now, small little garden, and I mucked up somehow. And so there's a couple of spots of my system where it's splashing water in one end and the other end doesn't get any water at all because there's some leaks in my irrigation system. So once they close that off and fix that, then the water travels through properly, right? This is what we want with our skin too. And if I could take an analogy that happens every single day to us, or something that we know when we're using something at home or something in our life, and then apply it to the science of what's happening to your skin, it helps you understand, I hope, why you would use certain products that win and what you can expect from them. The next is the Platinum Peptide Brightening Cream. Platinum. Here we have diamonds. Jewels are really important. Not only do they have a lot of energy, which is really important, because everything has energy, right? And energy is super important. It's how we communicate without words. And you can sense good and bad energy. And there's a lot of bad energy out there. So good energy is something you want to push out the bad, and you want to harvest and harness good energy. Platinum is a good energy. Platinum is a white light. Platinum helps with blue light damage or UV environmental stress. It's going to help brightening. It also is a carrier, very much like this. Now this one is a daytime formula. This is a nighttime formula. This is your daytime formula. I use this. I am not supposed to say this, right? They say, don't mention this. You're not supposed to mention it. But me, by not mentioning it, sometimes by omission, you're not telling the truth. So I'm going to tell you the truth. I use this instead of sunscreen. I'm not a big fan. Sorry, I apologize for that. I'm going to turn this on to focus. Okay, that's on focus. Now, I use this instead of sunscreen. Why? Because it's going to brighten my skin, protects my skin, keeps my pigmentation even. I use this with my glutathione. I marry this together because I don't want to have issues with pigmentation or melasma. I don't want to go down that road. I have treated and worked with so many people that have issues with uneven skin tone, pigmentation, melasma, and I know what they're using. And they're getting some laser treatments done, and they're using all this weird SPF. I have very little faith in a lot of the SPF that's out there, especially North American SPF, and how they're doing it. And I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for it. But this is my opinion. You do you, but I'm telling you, as a cosmetic chemist who's 63 years old and I don't get laser treatments done or anything, this is what I use. My glutathione and the platinum peptide brightening cream. I've spoken about this over and over and over again. I don't use a lot of the product. I put it on underneath when I wear makeup, or right now I'm bare, I have this on. This, for me, and I have it on my neck, I have it on my décolleté, I have it on the back of my hands. This for me helps with, this for me gives me the protection. The other one I use also for protection, super good for protection, is the Ectowin. If you get anything from Isomers with Ectowin. I don't know anybody else's Ectowin because I don't know if they're using it in clinical doses. Ectowin is an osmotic regulator, and we have Ectowin in our formulas, but Ectowin is also really good for your Langerhans cells. And I know we don't talk about Langerhans cells very much. They keep telling me, do not go to that level of information. I can't help myself. I want to speak to you with a lot of respect and kindness and truth and proof. So I have to use the real terminology, and then we can break it down, right? That's very cool, if you're okay with that. Daytime hydration, nighttime hydration. This is refattening with hydration. So this is for a saggy, when you get saggy baggy, this is going to be boosting the hydration at nighttime, especially if you wake up in the morning, you've been on vacation, or you're going by the ocean, you're going by, a lot of people are fortunate enough to go traveling and have a lot of vacations. I have not been that person. I've had very few vacations in my life, or very few holidays in my life, because I've had to work so hard. And so now I want to do more of it, and I'm a little too old and a little too tired sometimes. So I want you to go out there and have those good times and know what you can use, okay? Love all the information. Thank you, Deborah. Hi, Deborah. Hi, Carla. Happy Friday. Here we have the ceramide barrier relief. Ceramide is the simplest way of locking in hydration, and more than locking in hydration. The ceramide helps with cellular organization. Okay, so let me explain. You have some toast, right? Toast. You've toasted the bread. You have your bread, you toasted it. It's dry. You put butter on it. You notice the butter does not help hydrate your toast, right? It's just a fat that sits on top. Still keeps it crunchy. But if you took the butter and you put it in the microwave and you liquefied it, then you poured it all over your toast, what would happen? That butter liquefied would go into, and that volume would go into the nooks and crannies, and the bread would soak it in, right? And it would coat all of the little cells inside. It would coat it, right? When you ate it, it also got a little bit more soggy because of all the way it's melted. This is how a ceramide works. It's going to go in deeper than the butter on top. The ceramide is like that liquid butter, if you will. When it goes in and it has coated all of that, if you were to add something like hydration, hyaluronate, it will now hold it in there. And by holding it in there, the whole thing would thicken up and the whole thing would hydrate for a longer period of time. So the magic to hydration is understanding your key actives, understanding where they land in your skin, understanding the job that they have to do, and understanding that moisturizing, right? Something that needs oil is not the same as something that needs water. When you have toast and you just put butter on it, it stays crispy, toasty. It does not gain its buoyancy back. It thins down, it gets hard, it gets crunchy, it dries out, but you're putting oil on top and it stays dry. But if you were to add water to that toast, it would rehydrate. It would change its pliability. It would change how soft it was. It would change how it moves. It would change how big it was. It would change how it expands and absorbs and does things. It goes from something that can't absorb, like the toast, to something that can, with the butter, to something that can absorb with the water. So this is the importance of hydration. At Shop HQ, you're going the ability to get all of these. They have their deals on. I'm sure you have questions and comments. I love the fact that hydration is something that sounds so easy and is done so incorrectly, because people confuse what needs water with what needs oil. I want to know, when you're thirsty, what's the first thing you want? If you had to choose one or the other, would you drink water? Would you drink oil? When you're thirsty, do you think of something to drink that's a liquid, or do you think of butter or French fries or ice cream? No, you're thirsty, you say, I need some water. I need a cold beer. I need some iced tea. No one says, boy, I could use a nice pat of butter. But yet, when our skin is thirsty, that's exactly what we do. And at Isomers, we want to tell you the truth, show you the proof, and really work on developing this strong communication and community where we are exchanging this information and ideas. Thank you very much for tuning in. Please get your hydration. This is all amazing hydration. If your skin is tight, dry, dehydrated, you have fine lines and wrinkles, if you've lost elasticity and tone, here you go. And volume. Here, I love this one for everybody. This one is my sunscreen. I'm just telling you, this is what I use to protect my skin. And then this is the everyday barrier, because you just, especially when you have like oily skin, sensitive skin, rosacea prone skin, acneic, temperamental skin, super important to strengthen the barrier and to really get that ceramide to go down deep enough to create the stickiness that you will between those cells, between the layers, so you have what they call cellular organization. If you have stories and all of a sudden all the floors collapse into each other, you have a disaster, right? There's no structure anymore. You may have all the components, you have all the bricks there, but they've fallen into each other. So they don't have the same shape, same size. It doesn't take up the same kind of authority, same space. When you put the ceramide in, that's what happens. It allows for what we call cellular organization. So where you have the collapse, where you have the wrinkles, where you have the fine lines, where you have the deep lines, where you have the anatomical shift, where you have the sagging, the ceramides are going to help with the cellular organization, which then helps with the building of the skin and its different layers. Hope you've enjoyed. Do you reapply the platinum cream during the day? No, I don't. I do it in the morning. I go out. I don't even think about it anymore. I just love having it. If later on in the day, like in the evening, say, it's 4 o'clock and you're lucky enough that somebody wants to hang out with you. That's how I would say, somebody wants to hang out with me. Lucky enough that somebody wants to hang out with you in the later part of the day, I would refresh, wash my face, put this back on, and that's it. Right? I would do it later on, just if I was to go out again. But if I was out from morning to, I don't think about it. I don't think about it at all. And I do like to use it at nighttime too. Not saying don't stick it on and go sunbathing, but I use this. I'm not a big fan of the chemicals that are used in the SPFs nowadays in North America. If we were in Italy, I would be very different. I would say use this and this and this, because they do it differently. They look at this kind of science and they marry it with different things. And I want to do more and more of that, and I'm going to teach you how to do more and more of that by combining things as we go along. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. An amazing weekend.
Deborah has a question. Do you ever apply the platinum cream during the day?
I just replied.
Okay.
See, we're on delay. We are in 2 time zones here. Deborah, I was telling Deborah that I would reapply it. If somebody says to me, Manuela, after work, do you want to go for a drink or a coffee? I would say, oh my gosh, you want to hang out with me? Yes. Let's go. And before then, I would wash my face, put this back on. But from the morning to the evening, no. She didn't get the hint. Thanks so much for tuning in. Love you guys. Thank you. You are such a great communicator. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Sharon. My son's getting married August 22nd. I need your help. Okay. We have a shower coming up. for her, for Natasha. And Natasha's mom yesterday sent me a text. I'm so excited because she asked me, because I try not to be that meddling, I just stay, I wait. Like, you want me to participate? Anyway, to say a few words. I don't know what to say. I love her. I think she's great, but I just don't know what to say. So if anybody has ideas from, a mother-in-law, so she will be my daughter-in-law. And I don't know how long it should be. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, is that enough? And I know what's going to happen is I'm going to start crying. I'm just going to cry. So I can't, and now I already know I can't even wear makeup that day because I'm going to just be a blubbering mess. I'm emotional about family. But I want to, I could, if it was about skincare, I would tell, do you have a live tomorrow? Or what do you say? Do you have a take on Bakuchiol?
No, it's the Bemotrexinol.
No, I do not at this time. What I can not at this time, but I will follow up with you next week. How's that? I'll give you my honest take. Anyways, hope you guys learned something today about the truth, the proof, and the brand, which I think is really cool. Like yesterday, I was like a kid in a candy store. I'm like a frustrated 63-year-old, 22-year-old at the same time, thinking, you know what? Why didn't they just do this 25, 30 years ago when we were doing it? Like, we were right all along. We kept trying to change and adapt. We kept being told by, people are not ready for the science, or people don't want to know the truth. You got to tell a story. These are not the right colors. This should be this color. This should be this packaging. And we're just sitting there going, what's the point? None of that helps you, right? And now AI has come along with AEO and GEO. And now they're saying, what do you really do? We just want the truth, the proof, and we want to know who you are. I think our day is coming. We should be embracing this because so many things are going to fall through the wayside, and you will see that all of you that are with Isomers are going to be look like geniuses, absolute geniuses, because we were doing this together. And you guys had faith in me, and I could continue on this quest to talk about the way I like to talk about it, and live this life and share these ideas and give you this insight. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend. Have a fabulous weekend. Be good to yourself. And just be happy. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Oh, next week we're going to have we have Canada Day, July 1st, and then you guys have 4th of July, which is going to be very phenomenal this year for 250 years. So I know a lot of people are going to be off or enjoying themselves outdoors or with loved ones. Really, truly take a moment and embrace. Take a moment sometimes, just evaluate your space, right? Because that never happens again. And know that you have permission to choose the people you want to be around. You don't have to put up with bullshit. And AI is actually probably coming around to help you make better choices in all of this. Just stick to the truth, the proof, and the brand.